Now, after understanding the data types, what comes next? The next thing which comes in the queue is variables. What are the variables? Let's consider that you have one number 9, right? Okay, before I proceed, just let me tell you that variables are nothing but just like a container which you, in your normal life you use containers to put things into that. For example, if you have sugar, you would use a container to put sugar into that, and whenever you need, you can just take out some sugar from that and you can use that, right? Similarly, you use containers in Python to store the values. For example, here you have one value which is 9, all right, and you want to put that in something. So let's say here we have a container and we're gonna put 9 into this container and we gonna label this as my num. So this container, I give a name to this container as my num, which is nothing but my number. Now, after doing this, whatever operations you could perform on number 9, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, whatever mathematical operation, you can perform all those operations on my num. So this was the case of number. Does it mean that we can only store numbers into a container or into a variable? No, absolutely not. That's not the case. Let's have an example. Here we have a string value. That's the character value which is called learn, right? And here we got another container. We're gonna put this value into this container and we're gonna name it as my car, which is nothing but my character, something like that. Okay, you can give the name of anything, xyz, xyz, abc, etc., whatever you want in this world. Okay, so whatever name you want, you can give it over here. All right, and then whatever operations you can perform on a character, all those things can be performed over here. I know I have not explained it, what all are the actions which we perform on characters, but whatever we learn moving forward, all of these things can be performed on a character variable as well. So the story behind this, or the moral behind this, is even if you store any value in a container, then whatever operation you wanted to perform on the particular or individual value, that those all operations can be performed on the container. Let's jump to the Jupyter notebook and try to understand this with an example. Well, so here we are in Jupyter notebook. This is from previous class, right? Now here what I'm gonna do is, here I have my number 9. Okay, so in Jupyter notebook in cell you can type any number, and to execute this, what you can do is you can either click run, or you can just from your keyboard you can hold control key and hit enter. So that's gonna be executed and it will be printed over here. Now on 9, if you want to add something, plus 1. Okay, so it is executed over here. 9 plus 1 equals to 10. Let's see, can we do this thing? Oh, what can we do extra, right? So let's say this is the number and I store this number in a variable called my car. Okay, so this is the variable in which I stored this particular number. Now let's hit control plus enter. Oh, it gave you nothing, because this time when we executed it, we just said Python store this number 9 into this variable my car. Now if you want to see what is stored in this particular variable, for that what you're gonna do is, there are a couple of things. Either you can say print my car, so here you have 9, or if you are working in Jupyter notebook, you can simply say my car and you're gonna have the operation 9. Sorry, not operation, the output 9. Now can we do some addition, subtraction, or any of the mathematical operation can we perform on this particular thing? Okay, before we proceed further, let's understand. You see, this is the character value, which is the variable name, and this is the number which we have stored. What happens if we are storing a number value in character name? Will it change the data type of this thing? Do you think so? Let's check it out. Okay, so for that what we're gonna do is type, and then I showed you in the previous video. Let's hit no, it's still int, right? So that means storing a value into variable doesn't changes the data type of that particular value. Now moving forward, we wanted to see that Okay, let me just change the name. Here it says my card. That doesn't make any sense. Rather, I should say my num. Okay, my num. All right. I mean, you can say my card. That's not that's gonna be absolutely fine. But just it make more sense. I change the name to my num. Okay. Now, if I do +1, what will happen? Let's see. Oh, it is working, right? So you can just add 1 to this, or whatever you wanted to do, you can do over here, right? So let's say if we want to say see the remainder after dividing it, so here you have the remainder. If you want to subtract it, you can do that as well, right? If you want to multiply it, you can do that as well. Okay, so all the mathematical operations which you can perform on a single number or any individual number, that you can perform on the variable also in which that is stored. Let's create another variable which is called my secnum. All right, my second number is 8. All right, now let's see if that has been stored. Yeah, you see my sec number is also working. Now can we try this? Here we have my num, and on that I wanted to add my secnum. Python is case sensitive, so you gotta be a little cautious about it. Okay, so I simply want to add 9 plus 8, right? So does it make sense if we do this way? Let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, it is working, right? So you can store any value into a variable and you can perform whatever mathematical operations you want, right? If you want to subtract this, you can subtract this. If you want to multiply this, you can multiply this. Okay, now you might be getting a question, why do we need to store the values in a particular variable, right? When we can use it standalone, right? So it's because when you progress, as of now we are just looking at one single piece of information, but moving forward when you progress, we would have series of numbers. So every time, let's say after doing this, for example, here we wanted to add 9 plus 8. Now after some time, here you have certain number and you want to add 9, so you don't need to write that again. What you can simply do is you can just say my num. Okay, and here you have that number added into it. All right, so moving forward we would have series of numbers, so it will make more sense why we are using variable to store the values. As of now we can just understand that variables are something which we use to store the values inside it. Now every time I say variable, if you try to understand the English meaning of this particular word which is called variable, so that means something which keeps on changing, right? So let's try that. Here in my num we stored the value 9. Now if I use the same variable name over here, again my num, and here if I store 99, will it change the value in my num? Let's check that. Okay, now here I'm just going to type my num and hit enter. Now if you see here in my num, this time it is 99. All right, but so previously we had in my num we had the value 9, but now we have 99. Okay, so for example if you come above this, so to insert any cell above the current cell, you can just press alphabetical A from your keyboard and that will come over here. Okay, now let's try what happens. Still you are 99, but if you just execute this and then if you try my num, then you're gonna get 9. What exactly happening? It's working in a sequence, right? So the moment you change the value, or the moment you assign another value in that same particular variable, it gets changed, right? So this is what happens. This is why we call it a variable. Now if in this particular thing you add my second num, in my second number, what is the value that we have? In my secnum we have the value 8. So when you add this, it's gonna work like this. This was for numbers. Can we also store the character value in a variable? Yes, we saw that in the very beginning. Yeah, so we can say my char, and in that you're gonna write learn. Okay, and you just hit enter. Now first let's check what is the data type. Is it numeric or character? Let's say type equals to my char, and see it's string. Okay, so whatever value you have, if you are storing that inside this, the value gets changed, right? So for example, do you, because in my char I have stored the character value, can I reset it? Because it's a variable, I can reset the value inside that, right? I just explained. So can this time can I store numeric value? Yeah, of course I can do that. Now if I check the type of this time, all right, and in that I gonna say my char. So this is int, right? But if you check it over here, oops, if you check it over here, then what you're gonna get is type and my, here it's string. So I hope you are getting the point. The moment you change it, the data types change of that particular variable as well, right? But because we were understanding the character value, so we're gonna keep to that particular point. Okay, now what if you want to add something on this, right? Let's try, let's see, this my char has the value learn, which is string value, and here my num has the value 99. Can we add this, right? So you remember in the very first in the previous video I explained why we require the data type. Data type is required, which tells the Python what sort of thing we want to perform, right? So here I stored this particular string value into this particular value, and I said the data type is, I stored it as a string, so I said that the data type is string. So I can only perform string operations on that, and I can for example here it is numeric, so I cannot perform string operations on this particular variable, right? So for example, let's take my char, right? So this is the string variable. If I try to multiply it with 2, can I do this? Oh, of course I can do this, because this is just repeating, right? It's not adding. Let's try to add this. So here if you see this, here you see, here it says can only concatenate string, not int. So what happens when you use plus with a string variable, it works as a concatenation. So if you use minus, here you see unsupported operator type as etc etc, right? So it is not working on this particular thing because this is the character variable, right? So if you want to perform anything, for example here I want to add let's say my num. Okay, my num, I want to add this. It's not gonna work because this one is numeric and this one is character. So what if in any case I want to add these two? What is it that we're gonna do? So for that there is one option which is called str. You can use that on the numerical variable, and then you see learn and 9. So this time in my num you have the value stored 9. So I'll just change it over here, and now if you see learn 99. Okay, so this is how when you use plus thing with the character values, then it works as a concatenation, but when you use with numeric variables, it performs the actual thing. So I just hope that it was clear to you. This is it for this particular video. Just in case you have any other doubt or any other question, do not hesitate to put that into the comment section. I will definitely get back to you. Until then, happy learning. Goodbye.